Hey, Peyton, nice to see you again on this beautiful day. And this time with a quote by Friedrich Nietzsche, where he once wrote, "One must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star." How do you relate, and what does it mean to you when you hear the words a dancing star?
Hmm. Good to be back. This is a cool quote. I think when I read this quote and think about it, what comes to my mind is creativity. It's the capacity to birth something totally new into the world that didn't exist before. That's not just a recombination of simple inputs or a regurgitation more often of what is already there, but something that's birthed into the world, created spontaneously, totally new. And when I think about it through the lens of creativity, and I think of the creative humans that I love their work the most, I think of Salvador Dali, I think of Vincent Van Gogh, I think of the singer of Tool, I think of many musicians and even the people that I know and love that are the most creative. A lot of them are crazy. A
Yeah.
lot of them are crazy.
Yeah.
The most creative people I know, it's like there's actually a capacity to be on to it's like there's a capacity to surf the waves of liminality and of potential birthing into the world spontaneously from the source that requires us to loosen our grip on the rigid structures of reality in some sense. And it appears to me that some degree of chaos within tends to at a minimum correlate, if not cause, this capacity for true genius creativity. And I'm sure all of us can think of examples of this. What else comes to your mind? How does this apply to creativity? What does this mean for looking at our own chaos inside or our own birthing of dancing stars?
For me, it's an encouraging way of being aware that whenever chaos strikes, whenever the storm hits, or whatever emotionally entanglement will come into our life, that even in the pain, we can utilize it for our creative purposes, for our creativity, for our giving birth to a dancing star in terms of something, producing something which touches other people as well, which enriches the culture of our species, and which is coming through the acceptance of a dynamic world. So what I see is sometimes people think that order is everything is in its place and nothing moves and so on. But when you look at nature, it's not that every leaf is like orderly next to each other, but they grow. They are in a dynamic unfolding of whatever they are, of the thing which is alive. And for some people from the outside living in rigid structures, it may seem like this looks chaotic, but actually it's the highest form of order because it thrives in the dynamism of the real world and reaches for the sun, which is my favorite star. How do you see the relationship between order and the dynamics, and how could we best serve this transitory states and utilize it to be creative?
Mm, what a cool inquiry. Yeah, there is this. mm, it's like we want to gain a comfort and an appreciation for both sides. It's easy to see the advantages of order. Order is what enables us to maintain homeostasis and to be safe from the thunderstorm. Order is what enables us to have predictability and long life expectancy and a relaxed nervous system at times. And chaos is fearful by nature to many of us. But what you point out is nature is chaos. And in fact, the condition in which Homo sapiens seem to thrive the most is in a lifestyle of hunter gathering and therefore chaos in nature and connection with the spontaneous now. I think that chaos brings us into the now, perhaps more than order does, and brings us into the emerging, unfolding possibilities and into the infinite potentiality of the source more clearly and consistently and vividly than order. And so it has this power to introduce a new beauty, and it has the power to create an amazing beauty that simply putting Legos on top of another in an orderly wall can't ever touch, and something that gives a richness and even a meaning to our existence. And I think that you hit the nail on the head with what what I was kind of asking myself earlier is, so what? What does this actually mean? How does this sense apply to our life? And I do think you're right in terms of let's open to chaos when chaos strikes. Maybe not cause chaos, maybe not cause it in
Yeah.
others or ourselves or get out of balance or whatever. There's wisdom to be had in the balance and the nuance and the real moments unfolding and how to hold it with everything, of course. It's very foolish to get enamored with an idea of chaos to the point where we derail whatever order is needed for this and that from our end. However, chaos will come. And when chaos comes, there is a possibility for a richness of our life to emerge that doesn't happen from order. And so let us embrace order when it is time for order. Let us embrace chaos when it is time for chaos. And especially let's not waste the chaos. Let's open ourselves to the gift of the chaos because chaos will come with some cost or some price or some danger or some risk or whatever. But it also has this amazing potentiality, this Pandora's box and this gift of beauty and richness and meaning and depth, and a depth and a gift that we can share with others through creativity. I think this is my intention from it. When chaos strikes, open myself to it. Doesn't mean do nothing about it. It doesn't mean make things more chaotic. It doesn't mean dismiss all of the importance that order can have in certain ways, but also to appreciate the gifts that chaos can bring and appreciate that those gifts, the giving birth to a dancing star, it can come in ways that we aren't expecting. It can come in times that we aren't expecting. It can be the dancing star might be conceived in a moment of great pain, and the birth and the fullness of this star may come to be years later, but only because of this chaos that had happened in the moment of conception of the enrichment of our mind and sight in some way. So this is my intention is to there's a quote from the Tao Te Ching that the master is ready to use all situations and doesn't waste anything. This is called embodying the light. And I think this is the takeaway that I have is that all things contain their possibilities and their gifts, even the things that can cause us to feel fearful or at worry of the danger and so, or like we can't stand and catch our balance on firm ground. There is an amazing openness of possibility introduced by these things that we so often shrink from or want to recoil from. How about you? What are your intentions out of this beautiful pointer of the potential of a birthing star?
Well, for me, it's sometimes about letting go of rigidity and old structures and habits that are ingrained and seemingly very deep in terms of because we never would think that something new will come out of us doing the same things day by day, week by week, year by year. And therefore, we also have the opportunity to invite a little bit of randomness into our lives, which invites a little bit of exposure to some kind of random chaos, even soft chaos, which will enhance our opportunities, which we can find. And like you said about the Tao Te Ching, the master can use it. And chances will multiply themselves if you take them. There's also a quote by Sun Tzu, which I just see right here upstairs. And therefore, just to invite a little bit of randomness, which often yields many beautiful possibilities. And that is my intention.
Mm,
Thank you very much,
wonderful.
Peyton, for this wonderful conversation. Appreciate you,
Thank
man.
you, friend. I enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one.
See you soon.